By the year 878, the Great Heathen Army had effectively dismantled the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. Northumbria, East Anglia, and Mercia had all fallen, leaving Wessex as the final holdout in England. The Vikings utilized a specific operational doctrine: rapid, waterborne strikes using shallow draft longships. They seized poorly defended towns and avoided the high costs of protracted sieges. This mobility forced King Alfred into a desperate retreat. He withdrew into the Somerset Levels, a landscape of flooded marshlands where the terrain itself neutralized conventional troop movements and Viking raids. While Alfred defeated the Viking leader Guthrum at the Battle of Edington, the victory was limited. It did not expel the Danish presence from Britain or destroy their ability to wage war. Alfred responded with the Treaty of Wedmore. He traded territory for an immediate cessation of hostilities, a calculated compromise designed to halt the collapse of his kingdom. This agreement partitioned the island, ceding the north and east to Danish self-governance. This region, known as the Danelaw, created a massive buffer zone between the two powers. Alfred traded this territory for temporal bandwidth. He required years of unbroken peace to overhaul the infrastructure of his surviving kingdom. The Battle of Edington and the subsequent treaty were strategic sacrifices. They were the only way to buy the time necessary to build a new defensive architecture. The central problem remained: how could an agrarian state without a professional army defend against a decentralized, highly mobile insurgency? Alfred's solution involved a massive expansion of the state's tax and conscription systems. The master blueprint for this system is the Burghal Hidage. This surviving 10th century manuscript serves as a logistical accounting of the entire Anglo-Saxon state. The ledger identifies over 30 specific fortified locations and outlines the exact taxes assigned for their maintenance. The engine of this system was the Hide, a unit representing the amount of land required to support a single family. Alfred weaponized the Hide, converting it from a simple measure of food rent into a mandatory unit of public and military obligation. The Burghal Hidage transformed raw agrarian output into a legally binding measure of military survival. The document outlines a network of 33 heavily fortified towns, or burhs, distributed across the kingdom. They were placed at critical tactical choke points, lining coasts, guarding rivers, and overlooking ancient Roman roads. Answering a strict spatial logic, fortresses were positioned approximately 19 miles apart. This ensured no settlement was more than a single day's march from a garrison. Alfred linked these fortresses with heer paths, a dedicated network of maintained military roads. The heer paths allowed local militias to assemble rapidly from multiple burhs, enabling them to confront an invader anywhere in the grid within 24 hours. On the waterways, double burhs were built to straddle key rivers, connected by fortified bridges. These bridges forced Viking longships to navigate directly under garrisoned platforms, neutralizing their primary aquatic advantage. The defenses themselves consisted of massive earthen walls surrounded by wide ditches and topped with timber palisades. This mathematically spaced grid of fortified garrisons neutralized the Vikings' primary tactical weapon: rapid, unimpeded mobility. The Burghal Hidage provides the exact conversion rate that powered this massive construction effort. The formula is rigid: 1 hide of land equals 1 fully armed defender. 4 men maintained 1 pole, 16.5 feet, of wall. Applying this to Wallingford, assessed at 2,400 hides, this provided 2,400 men, enough to garrison 9,900 feet of wall. This math translated into grueling physical labor. The earthworks at Wallingford alone required over 120,000 man-hours of hauling earth and timber in the mud. While new burhs required total construction, older sites like Winchester integrated existing Roman masonry into the formula, with Anglo-Saxon crews repairing and reinforcing ancient foundations. This ledger guaranteed structural efficiency. A burh's circumference was never allowed to exceed the mathematical capacity of the local population to defend it. This system created intense domestic friction. The nobility heavily resisted these massive demands on their labor, but every landholder was bound by the Trinoda Necessitas, an inescapable threefold obligation to provide military service, perform fortress work, and repair bridges. This mandate reorganized daily life, splitting the population between seasonal agricultural farming and mandatory garrison duty. Over time, the burhs evolved. They became highly secure market centers, central to the surviving economy. Alfred centralized the economy by moving royal mints exclusively inside these walls. This protected the currency and simplified tax collection. The burghs also served as logistical supply depots, providing fresh horses, forged weapons, and grain to the field army while it was on campaign. To survive, Alfred forced a decentralized agrarian society to function as an integrated military-industrial complex. The ultimate test came in 892, when a massive Viking fleet returned. Their forward momentum was immediately blocked by fortified river bridges. The Viking operational model shattered against the fully realized burh network. Rapid strikes were no longer possible. The Vikings lacked the equipment and the engineering doctrine required for protracted siegecraft against these static defenses. The alternative, starving the burghs into submission, was negated by the Herepath roads. Alfred's field army used the network to resupply garrisons and ambush Viking foraging parties. Viking forces were boxed into the frontiers, unable to penetrate Wessex or maintain their supply lines. Structural attrition dismantled the Viking threat over time. The system turned the war into a slow, grinding logistical failure for the invaders. Alfred the Great engineered the survival of England through the cold mechanics of logistics, taxation, and the mathematical precision of the Burghal Hidage.